Today, I'm going for our first run in the Nike Pegasus 37. .44 miles, 8 minutes, 27 seconds per mile, 139 beats per minute today, going for a first run in the Nike Zoom Pegasus 37. And before I get to my thoughts on this shoe, I do want to go over some disclosures. This is a pair of shoes I purchased with my own money. No one sent it to me. No one's going to reimburse me for the purchase price of the shoe. No one's going to pay me to make this video or to wear it. And no one's going to get a chance to preview any of my thoughts or footage before this video goes up on YouTube. Now, with the disclosures out of the way, let's talk about the Pegasus 37. Now, the Pegasus 37 for 2020 has undergone some substantial changes. The most notable for me is the switch from the midsole material that they had been using, Cushlon, to React foam, which has been a very popular newer material that Nike has developed. And that's the entirety of the midsole foam material that's in here. Now, another signature feature of the Pegasus has been the Zoom Air pocket. And last year in the Pegasus 36, we had a full-length Zoom Air unit. This year they switched it up and got to a more robust but smaller Zoom Air pocket that's only in the forefoot. And another feature that they've tweaked on it is that they're tuning it differently for men and women. With women, the Zoom Air pocket has about a PSI of 15, and for men, it's about 20 PSI. The other thing that we're seeing that's different is the outsole pattern. Now, the general outsole pattern, where there's these kind of like vertical or longitudinal rails along the side, and then some waffle type of lugs on the outsole pattern, is the same, but they've been using pentagons for many years now. I think 3 or 4 years now, they went to pentagons, and now they're going back to more of a square-ish type of shape for the outsole pattern. The one thing that I will say is it also seems like the outsole rubber there's a lot of it. I don't know if there's necessarily a lot more than there have been in previous years. I don't have any of my older shoes to kind of compare it against, but it feels like there's a lot of rubber here, and it feels like there's more than there probably needs to be. React foam is really durable, and a lot of the other shoes, like the Epic React, for example, you're running for a large part right on the foam directly, and I think they probably could have done some of that here, but they chose not to and went with full-length rubber coverage on the outsole. But that's okay, because this is a daily trainer, and it's supposed to be built not only for performance, something that you can use regularly and take a daily beating, but also have some durability to it and some extra grip. So I think that's where they went with the full rubber coverage on the outsole. Just does feel like it's a lot. Overall, this shoe comes in at a stated 10 ounces for a size 10. I have a size 9, so we're somewhere in the 9s for this shoe, which is about average for a daily trainer, and it feels about as heavy as it looks. So it doesn't feel like a heavy shoe, but it's not exactly the lightest shoe that's out there on the market. The changes are less significant in the upper in terms of the materials and the design. We have a slight Achilles flare, which is something we've seen in the Pegasus shoes before, and the notch tongue. But these are all things that really work well for me and that I like, so I'm glad that there aren't too many changes. I know that a lot of you have noticed that there's a little bit of heel slippage. You notice a lot when you're walking. I notice it a little bit when I'm running, but when it comes to some of the harder efforts, that feeling goes away and it's not an issue. And even when I do notice it at slower paces, it's not something that's distracting or that's getting in the way of me being able to run in the shoe properly. It's just kind of how it fits, I think. The other thing that's still very familiar about the Pegasus 37, though, is the snugness of this toe box. It's still a very tight-fitting shoe, more of a racer fit, which is a little bit unusual for a daily trainer. Usually you're looking for something that a little bit more forgiving, but overall it's very comfortable and very familiar to me. Now, what does this all feel like to run in together? Something that I've always said about a Pegasus shoe is kind of two things. One is that when I think about daily trainers, the Pegasus is always something that I generally think of. It can do lots of different things: long runs, short runs, fast runs, interval, that kind of thing. It can handle all those things fairly well, and the Pegasus can definitely do that. It is a solid daily trainer. The other thing that always strikes me about the Pegasus is, even though sometimes there's very mild changes, sometimes there's very substantial changes like this year, there's always still a Pegasus-ness to it. I'm still feeling that here. It's kind of like getting back together with an old friend to go for a run. It's just very familiar and easy, and that's definitely another feeling I got with this. Some other signature Pegasus-y things are missing this year. So with the change in that zoom air pocket this year, it feels, even though it's bigger and looks from some of like the product shots that I've seen of what it looks like on the inside, it looks more bulbous than it's been in previous years, and yet it's less kind of assertive. Something that has tended to kind of bother a lot of people that are new to the Pegasus is that there's usually kind of like a real bubble feeling in the midfoot, at least for the first like 50 miles or so. It tends to mellow out and go away over time, but there's definitely a sensation that you're like stepping on something. In a Pegasus, I'm kind of missing it here this year, and I thought that this year I'd feel it even more substantially, because they talked about how much they spent time tuning that bigger air pocket in the forefoot, and yet it's more streamlined, it's more fluid, and less kind of assertive. So whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I'm not sure. It just feels different than other Pegasuses that I've run in the past. So that's something that I've noticed. The other thing that I've noticed is the React foam, when it gets to be this thick, and we've got a 10mm heel drop and 24mm of stack height in the rear, when React foam gets to be this thick for me, it sometimes have the tendency to get a little bit clunky, I feel like. And clunky is maybe not the right word, but it's a little bit more rigid than I feel like the Cushlon foam. It's not something that bothered me, but it's something that I noticed and something that I'll be keeping an eye on as I put in more miles on this shoe. But at all points, it definitely did still feel like a Pegasus. It worked well for me at a variety of paces, from my warm-up pace to some of my just easy running paces. And I also did a little bit of segment hunting on today's run, and so I had it up at some faster paces, faster than 10K and 5K pace. So it was able to handle all of those really well. So a very versatile shoe. I expect with the React foam and some of this thicker rubber coverage on the outsole that it's going to be a very durable shoe as well, much more durable, I suspect, than Pegasus and Nike shoes have been in the past. An interesting update to a shoe that I have been running in for a very long time. So I'm very interested to see how it does over the next 100 miles. So those are my thoughts after the first run in the Pegasus 37. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. I'd love to keep talking to you guys about it more down there. That's all I have for today, everybody. Thanks so much for making it all the way to the end of the video. Hope you guys are staying safe out there on your runs, and I will see you guys tomorrow.
Yo, what's going on?